Hi, everybody. My name is Ben Wright Human, cartoonist extraordinaire, and welcome to an impromptu live draw I decided to go ahead and get out of the way. I've got some strips to work on, and I figure a lot of people are working from home right now. For anyone who happens to catch this replay later, this is in the middle of, I guess the beginning of the coronavirus scare in the US. We'll see what ends up happening with that, but a lot of companies are starting to get people to work from home. What's up, Kelsey? Cool to see you in chat. Do you like my new setup where you can actually see the chat? That's kind of nifty. Uh, by the way, I did see you're going to be streaming on this weekend. I'm planning to pop out for that, and we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, while people trickle in, let's switch to this screen. All right. So I'm actually going to be working on 3 strips at once right now. That's just how I do right now. I do this, and we'll see how that goes. First one, based actually on a con I just did recently. Love the new setup. Yes, I will be streaming Saturday at 1 p.m. Awesome. But yeah, con's at a weird venue. They have a full bar. Got you a martini. Sip, sip. This is such a good con venue. This is based on a convention that I've done a couple times, the Indie Comics Fair at the Ace of Cups. The convention this weekend got canceled because of the coronavirus. Yeah, I'm expecting that to happen a lot. I have not had any cons canceled on me yet, but I'm expecting it to happen. But yeah, the Indie Comics Fair at the Ace of Cups is this little con in Columbus. A lot of fun. It's basically a chance for all the creators in town to hang out. And it takes place at a bar, which a lot of people would probably think is a bad venue for a Comic Con. And the truth is, you don't get a lot of business, but it's incredibly affordable. It is, and the people who come in, it's one of those things where it's not about quantity, it's quality. Like most cons, the general rule is you may be able to get 1 in 10 people to look at your table and 1 in 10 people to buy something. And I've also heard 1 in 100 for those numbers. But at that con, pretty much everyone who comes through for the bar stops at your tables and looks at stuff. And that's really cool. And a lot of them are interested. A lot of them will talk to you about it. Actually, I'm going to switch these because the background pencils are probably going to are going to be in the front for this one. By the way, I imagine a lot of my conversation in the chat is going to be with Kelsey there, whose stuff you can see on the screen. That is Kelsey Crawford, an awesome cartoonist I've done a lot of work with. If you see this in the future and get the chance, check out their stuff. If there are specific links you want to go to, post them in the chat, Kelsey. People will see them. But by default, kelseydcrawford.com, I believe, is the main place you want to go for stuff. Always shill your friends. I'm going to keep the pencils on the table very simple because, spoiler alert, I do a lot of copy and pasting on the inks for the tables because your setup doesn't tend to vary very much. Man, my computer's laggy today. So what con was canceled? Oh, it lagged a bit. Yeah. Kelsey, let me know if there are any crazy technical difficulties. I should still be able to see the chat even if the stream crashes. So yeah, I'm waiting for cons to start getting canceled on me. I fully expect it to happen. Uh, Good news is I'm actually not signed up for many cons right now, since honestly I've been so focused on getting the book that I've been working on done that I haven't really had a chance. HerdCon. Oh yeah, I've heard about this one. This is the one that I assumed for the longest time was Furry or My Little Pony Con because of the name, but it has nothing to do with either. Uh, by the way, if any Furry or My Little Pony Cons want to invite me, I'll come. It's not my specialty, but hey, uh, I will support any fandom that's chill. Ah, why is it grabbing the wrong layer? What are you doing? Oh, I see the problem. I have the wrong tool selected. There we go. HerdCon's one of your best shows. It's interesting. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I'm kind of thinking this year, not just because of coronavirus, although it is a factor, of really maybe not doing cons as much, just to see if I kind of like to try to do author appearances and things like that, because I'll have two graphic novels that I can sell. And I've also been working on a presentation on mystery comics, which, by the way, you can find by checking previous videos on my channel. I did a live stream of it the other day. That went pretty well. I would highly recommend giving that a look if mystery comics happen to interest you. And also, since it is a panel that is a work in progress, I'd be interested in getting people's feedback on that. Now, the important thing, the people's. By the way, if you are a drinker and you get the opportunity to table at a bar, it can be absolutely awesome. I highly recommend it. I don't recommend getting drunk or anything like that while there, but having just a beer at a con can be very relaxing. I also know a lot of people who've worked in the service industry who've actually talked about the fact that they sell better when they got drunk. I don't know that I'd recommend that, but I do know that that's a thing. Oh, Kelsey, you got hired as a creative director. That's pretty awesome. I actually just got some freelance work too. Well, I guess that's technically not freelance. You're actually getting paid by other people, which is fantastic. Uh, I guess I'm getting paid by other people, but I got brought on to work on a do some art for an anthology project that's actually giving a page rate, and I also just got hired to do the regular title cards for a friend's podcast. Might as well give them a shout out too. That is the Play Disc podcast, run by my friends John and Harrison Porbil, a couple of brothers who go through albums and deconstruct the whole thing. John and I met in college. He's one of the smartest people I know when it comes to music, and one of the stupidest when it comes to everything else. There you go. No, I'm kidding. Smart guy, crazy smart guy. Congrats on the gig. Thank you. But is she too short? Nah, it'll be perfect. I am actually going to copy just so I get her proportions right. Uh, but yeah, that podcast just starting up. And they seem to be doing some cool stuff. They keep getting interviews with the bands that they talk about, and some of the bands they're talking about are like pretty big names. Impressive because their uh, podcast hasn't been going that long. I got a little bit of envy, not gonna lie. It's like, hey, I've been working on this stuff for years, and you guys are just you're getting it. But they put out a very good show. Uh, you know what? Executive decision. She is too short. I'm gonna move her up. Doop doop doo. There we go. But yeah, if you want to check out that podcast, I highly recommend it. It's interesting to me because I've always been pretty behind on music. I really didn't get into it until I didn't get it. That sounds weird. I had limited musical exposure until college, um, just because my parents weren't into a lot past the '60s, and even in the '60s, they were mainly like my mom was a Beatles fan, and that was about it. So one of the first people to really expose me to a lot of different types of music was John. So it's been fun listening and getting exposed to more stuff. I actually just helped them with a title card for uh, their review of the album "Peace of Mind" by Iron Maiden, which was fun because I got to draw their the two of them in straitjackets in a padded room, which weirdly appropriate for those guys. Um, but yeah, you want to check it out. I don't know their. I really should have. I normally do a card, and I forgot to do that of all the URLs and stuff like that for people I want to pitch. But I do know that if you go to patreon.com/play disc podcast, you'll find them, and that's disc with a C. Uh, they're doing good stuff. They could always use the support, and even if you don't back them on Patreon, that'll get you the links to all their other stuff. Turn you down. Oop, I'm on the wrong layer. Yeah, so it has been a crazy couple of, well, honestly, it was a crazy month. But the last few weeks have been very nice because I am no longer running a Kickstarter, which is great. By the way, Kelsey, congratulations on your Kickstarter also getting funded. We both started our Kickstarters at pretty much the same time, in case anyone seeing this does not know that. And we both got funded, which is exciting. I will say, uh, the way you did your Kickstarter, I think what worked better than mine because you got funded a lot more quickly, and I highly recommend trying to get fully funded quickly. If you got the choice somehow. The one way you can kind of get have that be more of a possibility is if you really do keep the total low. I asked for $2,000, and the reason I did that was, well, there are a couple reasons. One, this book is going to be more expensive to produce. You missed the window back, but I got to get volume one first. Lol. We could figure something out with that. Honestly, like you and I work together so much, uh, I think it would be pretty easy to do an exchange or something like that. Although, if you're interested, volume one is available as a web comic. Like the entire thing is online. So if you wanted to just check it out that way, you could. That's bwhcomics.com/LOTD, as in letters of the devil. Um, but yeah, I had asked for $2,000 because one, the book's longer, so it's going to cost more to print, and I'm also going to need to order more copies of the original book in order to do all the fulfillment. Uh, but another part of that is that I made 1,500 when I'd asked for 1,000 on my last on my first Kickstarter. And so my thinking was, well, that was before I had any kind of following, really. I should be able to do, I should be able to. I need to bring up a picture of this guy, make sure I get his face right. Based on my friend Abe. But yeah, I figured I made 1,500 last time. I've actually been building a following. Uh, I should, in theory, be able to get more money than I got last time. We may be lagging a bit while I bring these files up. But and so I asked for 2,000, thinking, okay, that seems like a reasonable increase, and we made it. So I think in that sense, I absolutely asked for the right amount of money. Where it got a little dicier is we didn't make it until the very last minute, and that meant a lot more stress. And I'd kind of recommend, if you're doing a Kickstarter, really look at the absolute bottom line of how much you need to make in order to make this happen. Uh, Even if that means not paying yourself as much as you think you should get. Technically, I worked in this for 2.5 years. $2,000 is nothing on that level of labor. But if try to ask for the absolute minimum and then figure out flex goals for when you pass that. Because as long as you get that minimum, your stress levels are going to drop. And I cannot emphasize enough how nice it is having low stress levels on any kind of project that involves money. This will be a good image to bring up. Which window will it bring it up on? I brought it up on that side. Ruining everything. I have a multi-window setup. Absolutely ask for bare minimum that you need to make a project happen. Yeah, that was I could have probably done this project for less than 2,000. But again, that's right. I did do kind of the flat nose for him. That's what I thought. I did make the amount I asked for, so in theory, it was actually. You could argue that means it was the right amount that I was asking for, but it also meant that I was stressed out for a month, getting closer and closer to that total. On the first Kickstarter, that I made that 1,000 in 7 days. It was fantastic. Learned that early. Yeah, Kelsey, you've done a bunch of Kickstarters, haven't you? You tend to go smaller, shorter run, and exactly what you need. Emma, what's up? Are you going stir crazy working from home? I have actual people in chat. It's so nice. That actually doesn't happen very often. It's only recently started being a thing. You've done 10 campaigns. You've done 5 times as many campaigns as I have done. Do you get stressed out with every campaign? Mew is being a butt. Yeah, y'all two should talk. You both have cats. Although I would argue that, Emma, your cats are the silliest and dumbest cats on the planet in a good way. To be fair, I have a cat glued to my lap. I feel ya. Sounds about right. Uh, Hold on. What's happening? There we go. My computer is being all kinds of crazy today. One of these days, I kind of hope that the friends I based these characters on actually pop into the chat and start giving me a hard time for how I'm drawing them. The stress never goes away when you run a Kickstarter. That's actually kind of nice to know. Here's a question for you. With all the Kickstarters you've been doing, have you thought about moving away from self-publishing and trying to get something professionally published by any production company? Because I thought about that a lot during this whole thing. He's got sideburns, that's right. His head's a little too squished. Lasso. Yay. Funny story, I pitched a short story to an anthology recently and got rejected. Well, that happens. Don't let rejection stop you from continuing to do it. I know rejection sucks, but like that's one thing I'll definitely say. I've decided to keep doing my own thing and stop asking for permission. That's fair. You only ever need one yes, don't give up. This is true. Um, I've increasingly gotten uh, I've increasingly gotten into the attitude of failure is not a bad thing, which is very nice when you're trying to do self-publishing like this because you're going to deal with a lot of failure and a lot of disappointment. And if you can learn to get past it and learn from whatever's happening, it can be invaluable. You know, at some point, I do know a couple people who've done anthologies in the past. I've been thinking about reaching out to them to see uh, if they've got any projects going right now. If it turns out that some of them do, I'll let you know. Like I know a couple people who are really good at making anthologies. Plus, one of the nice things about that kind of work is you get 100% of unwritten grants and unsubmitted stories get rejected. That's true. And yeah, one of the problems with working on the book as long as I have been is that I actually have really not been doing any other type of work besides CosPain, which I've kept up. But I've put everything else on the back burner, including stuff that would get me paid, which is probably not a good thing. How big was that martini? It was pretty big. Martinis are my cocktail of choice because I'm a fancy lad from the 1950s. If I want to make something happen, I do it myself. Honestly, if anyone can pull that off, you can. It's one of the reasons that uh, one of the reasons I like picking your brain for business stuff because you're organized enough. You can make that kind of thing, happen pretty easily. Um, the main reason I'm thinking about working with other people is, or not, getting out of self publishing a little bit, is that uh, there's some stuff that I'm just not as good at as someone who does it for a living, like being a publicist and things like that. So I've considered maybe, handing off that part of the job to somebody else. Let's see. Now, I could theoretically just hire a publicist or something like that, or even like get an agent, because there are people who do self publishing that have agents and can fix a lot of those problems for you. I'm actually going to turn this off now because it's getting in the way. There we go. Too many lines. Yeah, I think one of my big problems is I am not a very organized person. You're ready to be discovered. And I'm like, I'm good to go. Oh yeah. No, okay. We're not pushing you into doing traditional publishing. I'm thinking about traditional publishing. You don't have to do anything, and honestly, you're pretty organized for it. You're organized. That's where I get into trouble. Like, I am such a mess most of the time. I'm not good at keeping records. I'm not good at a lot of this stuff. Like, I'm happy I've done self publishing, and I'm probably going to continue to self publish some stuff. But it's one of those things where I am. It might be nice to have someone take care of the non drawing stuff so that I can, you know, draw more. Might be a better fit for me. There we go. All right, what else fun is going on? I figured doing a stream like this would probably be a good idea just because I imagine a lot of people are trapped at home. Like I happen to know at least Emma is. Like the mental challenge of being both creative and analytical stuff. Yeah, I'm bad at the analytical. I can do a lot of analytical stuff. It's just that I'm it's funny because I feel like if you're going to go into self-publishing, you do need to know the main thing that's important to understand is yeah, you're not going to have to work with an editor or deal with other people telling you what to create, and you get to keep all the money you make, and all that stuff is awesome. But there are so many little jobs that make it tricky to that you don't really think about when you're trying to do it. Like the big one for me is being a publicist. I'm not that good at being a publicist because I really hate having to sell myself. And I feel like on average, most cartoonists there's a lot of introversion in the art community. And comparatively, I'm probably less introverted than a lot of those people. I will shill myself. I will go out there and say stuff. SakuraCon's probably going to get canceled. Yeah, that sounds about right. Honestly, I know that you love that con, but even if it doesn't get canceled, I hope you'll consider not going. Like I know Seattle's having a lot of trouble. All right, talk to you later, Emma. There we go. Yeah, SakuraCon is one I've actually wanted to go to for a while, but yeah, might not be a good year to be trying out any cons, let alone new ones. We'll see. I recently went to Anime Crossroads, and that was before everybody started getting really scared about coronavirus. But I don't know. It's definitely something that's been on people's radars, and be interesting to see what happens. I didn't really get worried about coronavirus until I found out that my dad, who is a doctor and one of the most rational and least quick to scare people I know, and like he does not jump on bandwagons or anything like that. He's legit worried about this. So that's where I when I really started paying attention. If I'm being honest, turn that off. Man, I'm going way slower than I normally do, but it's cause I'm having fun, and hopefully, this isn't super boring to watch. Drop that. I'm basically, you know what? I'm actually going to be super lazy with this. His pencils don't need to change. I'll re-ink him so he doesn't look copy pasted. If your doctor dad is worried about it, maybe it's actually something to worry about. That's my point. Uh, like I originally was only vaguely paying attention to it because I don't honestly pay attention to current events much. Up to this point, I thought it was just another bird flu that would pass. But then again, I don't watch the news. I don't even have cable. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, just that I. It's not that I don't pay any attention. It's that I really try to limit what I see, just because I don't need to look for it. News keeps getting forced on me, um, which is just kind of how a lot of this stuff works. Um, I will say, like, it is. I think you're comparing it to bird flu that'll pass. That's not an awful way to look at it, because I do think that it's not going to be as disastrous a thing as some as it's kind of being made out to be. It's not going to be good though, um, and because here's the thing, it's the statistics say that people in our age range, we're both in our 30s, aren't at that big a risk if you get it. Like it's a nasty flu, and you're contagious. It's a the big issue is for people who are older than that. And if the main thing that is being encouraged by this is good sense health measures, like try to reduce touching your face, wash your hands. You might want to stock up some on basic things, basic food things like grains, and I have a big thing of rice and a big thing of flour. So if I end up getting sick, I can quarantine myself if I have to. But yeah, this has been pretty messy. Autoimmune issues too. That's absolutely true. Um, yeah, it's one of those things where, for the most part, just be smart. Stock up on if you need to stock up on soap, do it. Good luck finding hand sanitizer, uh, because that's going to be a little bit tough. And people with cancer, AIDS, celiac disease, etc. Yeah. The other thing I'd say is don't bother trying to get masks unless you are already sick and you're able to find it. Because if you're able to, there's a shortage of masks worldwide at this point because so many people are buying them. They are no good if you're healthy. They do nothing. I made beef stew the other day. Turned out really good. Yeah, like I've been thinking about doing stews and getting the fixings for that because I have a bunch of carrots that I need to use, and you know, good start for any type of stew. Did I remember to? Yep, I put the olive in there. But yeah, it's not something that I think is necessarily worth. You know, this is not the zombie apocalypse, but it's a time when you want to be smart, be ready to stay in for a while. I made a huge thing of stock recently, which I do on on a regular basis anyway. But in the event that I need to, I can make a lot of soups, and I think I actually still have some frozen bones, so I can make even more stock if I need to. That's I had her talking, so let me erase this. Need to fix that. Fix that. gonna make Alfredo sauce soon. So I've been watching a show called Four Ways. It's something that Epicurious does on their YouTube channel, where it has three chefs of different skill levels make the same dish, and they did one on Alfredo sauce recently. And the mid-level chef and the professional chef uh, did not add milk or cream. Apparently, that's not required for Alfredo sauce. Blew my mind. All right, that's the first strip. Now I'm going to actually do the pencils for the next strip before I ink this. I'm trying to get a bunch of strips done ahead of time, so I have a few weeks to work on the other project I mentioned. No cream in Alfredo. Yeah, I know, right? They put in Parmesan and a lot of butter. Like, that's what they did instead. And apparently, why didn't my lactose intolerant self know about this? Yeah, I'm not lactose intolerant as far as I know, but Alfredo does tend to kind of give me reflux just because of how heavy it is. I've been thinking I kind of want to try this at some point. Look that up. Epicurious Four Ways uh, Fettuccine Alfredo, and see how they do it. Because, by the way, if you like cooking shows at all on uh, YouTube, this is a fun one. And by the way, the fourth way is just a food scientist coming in and breaking down everything that was happening with the other three people's stuff. So I guess it's really just three ways. But all right, so this next comic is all about receiving ribbons at cons. Actually, Kelsey, I don't know how often you see this because this is, I think, mostly an anime and Comic Con type thing, mostly anime, where people will hand out these little ribbons for participating in events and things like that that you can attach to your membership badge. Um, and some people end up getting a ton of them. So I'm doing a joke about, you know, ribbon, another ribbon, badge is getting bigger. Badge has a lot of ribbons, and he's gotten a big ribbon for having the most ribbons, and finally, he becomes Ribbon Man. All right, registration table. I love my lazy backgrounds. My first encounter with these ribbons was MatsuriCon, and I was so confused. Yeah, no, they're a huge thing. Um, the best way that the ones that I see the most often are pronoun ribbons, which I think are a good idea. Um, I don't generally make a huge deal about pronouns. I probably should make more of a big deal, but whenever I do see one of those he him ribbon, I just pop it on. Because why not? Let people not have to ask any questions about it. But yeah, also like my friend Trixie has ribbons for her organization, the Cosplayer Survivor Support Network. Uh, for anyone who happens to see this later, www.cosplayer-ssn.org, which is an organization that really helps cons improve their harassment policies and is a good thing. Shill over. But yeah, she has a bunch of ribbons that I always grab one whenever I'm hanging out with her and pop onto my badge, because why not? I've been thinking I need to start making ribbons myself. The one thing that's tricky about ribbons is they are they're you give them out free. I don't know that anyone sells ribbons at a con, so anything I make is just something that I'm going to give away, and that's always a little tricky. It almost could be an alternative to say business cards or something like that. I figure it's something that I'll start exploring along with pin making and button making, which is something that I kind of think I need to do. I could draw this guy in my sleep. I do him. I have to draw him all the time. I think I made him too tall. I'm going to shrink him a little just by lowering the head. Lately, this character has become a lot more sarcastic and sassy, and I kind of love it. Buttons sold okay for me for a while, but now they're not my bestseller. But that could be because of market saturation. Yeah, the main thing that's had me hesitant for a long time to do buttons, uh, and this is not always a good reason not to do something, but it's at least slowed me down. Is I don't care about buttons, um, and I get other people like them, which is why I'm considering doing them. But it's a lot harder to uh, it's a lot harder to market a product where you don't really get why people like them. So it's one of the things that's made me a little bit hesitant because, in a sense, it's not my jam. But it's also potential money that I'm not making, which is so it's worth at least considering. Oh, and he needs to have a lanyard badge. Cool. There we go. Make what you like. Just because you sell out doesn't mean anyone's going to buy, as Scott MacLeod put it. If you're going to do buttons, make the designs you would want as a customer. That is good advice. I don't know. I also do think though that paying attention to what other people want is worthwhile. Uh, and I also think if it's cheap, why not? So I have a friend, actually, again, Trixie, is talking about getting a button maker, and if she does, I'm probably going to at least give it a try, see what happens. But it's not something I'm in a big rush for, especially if I start moving towards more book oriented stuff, like not even mini comics, but like the actual graphic novels. I was just talking about Scott McCloud the other day when I did my mystery comic presentation. There we go. Ooh, did that badly. There we go. Something's wrong with that arm. Shoulder's too high. That's what it is. So ribbon, 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 some big side ribbons. You made the decision. Oh yeah, like anything I make would be something that I'd actually be proud of. I would I've had ideas actually, like some of the lines from CosPain could make great buttons, and some of the ones I actually use for titles, like "Never Skip Neck Day" or "Real Con Friends Know Your True Hair Color," which I both made into book titles, but also make great buttons. I'm just making this guy up. Make his head a little bigger. The last con I went to for fun was Anime Crossroads, and I believe they actually gave a prize to the person who collected the most ribbons. And their badge almost went to the ground. Like, I originally thought about making it look like a beard on this strip, and then I came up with the Ribbon Man gag and was like, nope, that's what's happening. I sometimes feel boring giving people just like t-shirts, but in this community, that's a lot of what people have. I just realized I never drew the ribbon. Here we go. What hair should I do? I'm going to give him the Matt Mercer. Because why not? Let's see. There we go. Come to think of it, I don't remember saving the first file. I'm going to do that real quick. All right, it didn't do anything, so I did save it. I might need to resize him. I need that ribbon to be obvious and ridiculous. Here we go. Shrink a bit. There we go. Let's have one kind of not properly affixed and hanging weird. Ribbons hanging off the side. Ribbons stacked. Needs to be the Ribbon Apocalypse, which was the original title of this, by the way. But then that was actually before I came up with the idea of making Ribbon Man, so I changed the title to Riborigin Story. There we go. Have new. I honestly don't know if you can stack ribbons this crazy, but I wouldn't be surprised. Let's do like that. I've actually wondered if you could get away with not having an actual badge if you just cover the like a lanyard with ribbons and see if anyone notices. Uh, don't do that. No, bad con person. But I wondered if it would work. just going to do some quick banana hands. Be pretty funny. Did I give him hair yet? I have not given him hair. Now let's do the guy in front so I know how much I don't have to draw. Give him a giant ribbon. I shouldn't be touching my face this much, but I'm at home. My hands are clean. Not going to infect anybody else. Banana hands. Yep. I took that from Scott Kurtz, actually. No, not Scott Kurtz. Mike Krahulik. He's the artist on Penny Arcade. And they had a very interesting thing for a while where they were doing a TV show based on the workings of their office, which for a while had Scott Kurtz in it. Excuse me for a second. Who is the artist for PvP. And, you know, they were all friends, but Scott was giving Mike a hard time for how he drew hands, and Mike was just like, "What? They're my banana hands." I think of that every time I do quick hands because you're just kind of making a banana peel. I get it. I never know how to draw glasses at this angle. I always kind of make it up. This character I'm drawing is actually the other staffer. Like I have two staffer characters that kind of pop in, and this guy only sometimes shows up because I have another staffer for most situations. Oh, Ribbon Sacks and Matsuri Khan were bananas. I thought I made a banana hands joke about the hand. Okay, so my tangent made no sense. Cool. That happens. Yeah, the ribbon collection is a thing. There we go. And final panel. I'm going to start by drawing Ribbon Man because Ribbon Man! So if you can think of anything sillier I can throw onto the Ribbon Man costume besides uh, a ribbon domino mask and a big ribbon R on the chest, go ahead and hit me with them. Oh, and the ribbon cape. Like half the fun of doing a live stream is actually getting other people involved in it. Oh, my tangent made sense. Awesome. By the way, Kelsey, I don't know if you saw the art live stream I did uh, a couple, what was it, beginning towards the, about a week after we did our last live stream together. But Jessica, the person who had been chatting with us in that stream, was the first person to ever hang out with me in the chat. Like that had never happened before. And they decided to show up and hang out. So I got a contact friend. So thank you for that. We need to do another stream like that at some point. That was a lot of fun. I figure Making it too regular a thing's not a great idea because we would run out of things to talk about, but on occasion, I think it'd be a great idea. So I'm just going to use the lanyard for that. Have copious amounts of ribbons behind the back. Jessica's cool like that. Yeah, Jessica's awesome. She was very complimentary of you as well. So awesome stuff. Unfortunately, it's a little hard to tell from that stream because I hadn't figured out how to put the chat over there yet. I am 100% down for guest chatting. There we go. I like this patchwork. I feel like if I ever do a superhero comic, there needs to be someone with all these ribbons as their cape. I have actually been messing with an old superhero comic idea I had a long time ago. I've talked to you about it before. I think we actually talked about it a little bit on the stream, but I've been messing with it more since, it's really nice to not be working on my book. Like, it's like I'm going to switch gears completely. It's going to feel amazing. Um, One of the things I've been messing with, Kelsey, you use Instagram as your main social media these days, right? Because I've been messing with uploading uh, live time lapses of watercolor characters that are just characters that I designed a long time ago, and I'm doing a doodle of them, recording it on my phone, speeding it up, putting some music that I actually own the royalties to because my friend John made it for me. Um, and just uploading that to IGTV, which I didn't even know was a thing until recently. The cape needs to go on both sides. And it needs to look like as much of a mess as humanly possible. Scram is one of my main ones, yeah. I have a friend, Sarah. I'm trying to think of what her handle would be. She does Sarah Elizabeth photography. She's a local photographer in Columbus, but has also started doing classes on Instagram for small business people. Um, she's a friend through, like, her best friend is married to my best friend, so we hang out a lot. Uh, and she really has been helping me improve my Instagram game because that's her main platform. And it helped a lot with this Kickstarter. Actually, it's thanks to her that I did something shilly that I absolutely hated doing, but was a good idea. Um, where I actually DM'd people on my social media to just shoot them an ad pitch for the Kickstarter. And it felt dirty, but the truth is, it really shouldn't. Like, everyone got what was up. No one was really offended by me doing that. I'm not going to do it very often, but it didn't even occur to me that I could do it until uh, Sarah pitched it. Let's see. But yeah, if you ever want to check out her stuff, I believe she's Sarah with an H E Photog on Instagram, and she does a bunch of classes like that, and I bet you could take advantage of that. That's Sarah with an H. I'll probably do a update to the comments here or something like that, so you can find that stuff. That looks pretty good. Nope. What costume should I do for this character? So, did I talk to you about the issue I was having with the name for uh, the character that uh, is cis male but cosplays female characters? I have to. I'm Here's the thing. I don't always have names for my characters. Sorry if this is a repeat for you, Kelsey. I don't remember, but I often, because characters are, I kind of picture them as archetypes. I often don't name characters for a long time. I happen to know that the other character I was drawing here is named Scotty, but this character that I'm working on right now, that I make this guy One Punch Man. Well, that's where it's tricky. Always cosplays as a female character. What would One Punch Woman look like? Oh, I haven't mentioned this to you. This character, the term I used to use is to identify him is male crossplayer, and it's recently been brought to my attention that term is no longer considered acceptable. Um, so I'm trying to come up with, uh, you know, another name to use for him. Like, come up with an actual name. I'm temporarily referring to him as MC, uh, which is, it works okay. Except I have another character whose initials are MP, so it's not going to be a long term thing. But it is an issue. I'm actually going to look up One Punch Man just so I can look at the design and make a female version of it. Because why not? Here we go. It's not going to be exact, but none of these are exact. Let's see. So, one of the characters, any of these characters who have that I show outside of costume tend to do the comic wearing the same basic clothing over and over again thing. And uh, looking at One Punch Man made me think of this. The One of the characters has kind of this dark yellow clothing that I tend to use for stuff, and my friend Trixie is talking about cosplaying that character, and she asked me, "So, why did you decide to use chartreuse for her color scheme?" And I was like, "Okay, first off, I need to go look up what chartreuse is because I don't know this color." Um, I'm gonna step one, make it sleeveless because why not? It's actually looking a little Thor-esque. I have some midriff in there because why not? With a belt. Okay, cool. Now, not going with bald because the character is not bald, and I'm not doing a bald wig. Uh, let's do that kind of hair. That'll work. How do you not know what chartreuse is? You are a professional artist. I know now. I, I know what it is now. I didn't then. Also, chartreuse is such a silly name for a color. I would also argue, having looked at what chartreuse is, that outfit is not chartreuse. It's not green enough. But, you know, it is what it is. All right, let's see. Pencils for that done. Jump into the last pencils. How long have I been doing this? Hold on. Kind of want to check. Just over an hour. Actually, that's pretty good time for what I've been doing. Oh, gradual obsolescence. This one is a little bit on the mean side, but it's silly. I do mean it as a joke. But the whole idea is you make an awesome costume. Uh, I know a lot of cosplayers who keep up with trends in Japan. It's the name of one of my half-orc NPCs. The druids of Ollie's camp are all half-orcs and named after colors. But Ollie isn't named after a color. Wait, is Ollie short for olive, as in green? That would be awesome. But yeah, the joke on this one is year one. Cosplayers wearing something crazy that hasn't even been translated in English yet. Year two, it animate finally come out. People have watched it and recognize it. Year three, people vaguely remember the show. Year four, nice retro cosplay, Grandma. I will say, Ollie is Olive. I was right. Nice. Um, but yeah, I will say, I don't know that any cosplayer would actually say something this potentially mean that I've met. Okay, I shouldn't make that blanket statement. There are mean cosplayers out there, but this is an unusual thing for someone to actually say. When you see a cosplay from an older series, it's generally an awesome thing. Like, last major cosplay I did was Galcian from Skies of Arcadia, and we had a group. Skies of Arcadia was a Dreamcast game, so it's probably like 20 years old now. And we had so many people who recognized our group come up to us and be like, "You're my heroes because you're cosplaying from an amazing game." I was actually surprised how many people recognized it. By the way, if anyone from Sega happens to watch this stream, make another Skies of Arcadia. You sons of bitches. Make it. Please. Also, like, even if you can't make that for some reason, release a remastered Skies of Arcadia. Or you know what? Even better, do both. Because people would love it. I'd be so happy. I own a copy of Skies of Arcadia Legends for the GameCube. And it was so hard for me to find a copy because it's rare and expensive. Um, but yeah, like, please re-release Skies of Arcadia and make a new Skies of Arcadia. Do both at the same time, and people will love you. All right, so let's figure out what this costume's gonna look like. Start with the character. This is Yoru, my hardcore cosplayer. I think I'm going to loosely base the design. What's coming to mind is Vega from the Street Fighter games. Which is funny because someone dressed as Vega, you could very well argue, was just doing retro cosplay. Have the leg be forward. I'm going to do full hard mask. Actually, nah, I think I'm going to cut that mask because I want the full expression. What about something from Drakengard or Nier? Drakengard I don't know, but Nier I do. I'm actually going to be playing Nier Automata not too long from now. Or Automata. I don't know how you're supposed to say it. I always think like automaton. Automaton. Blah, blah, blah. Drakengard. It's fine if these are obscure because I change them so they're not the official properties. It does it I and it's always interesting when you can reference specific stuff. Kind of like these Drakengard designs. Might be a little too dark colored. Let me look at Nier. Actually, I could do some interesting stuff with that. She is going to be wearing pants though, underneath. I'll steal those kind of flared sleeves. Yeah, I'm always a little bit concerned about uh, any kind of copyright issues. Do a high collar that fluffs out and have a little window thing there. But have it break and be part of that. I think that will do. I'm going to do a little face thing because that's always fun. And I can do full expression with that. Let's do for hair. Just a more standard wig because I want the full face visible. That'll do. Have the first person. I always end up doing goofy noses for this stuff. photographer. Working on some weapon design, so if I'm radio silent, don't mind me. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'm getting a little quiet too, because why not? These things always tend to taper out a little bit. I'm going to give them actual kind of sleeves under a shirt. It's always tricky doing live streams where you're drawing, just because it takes so much concentration to keep drawing. I'll fix that. There we go. Let's see. Remind me at some point to show you the weapon design I did recently. Haven't gotten to play her yet, but I created a new D&D character for a new campaign recently, and the weapon that I created for this character is awesome. I just did all these in background pencils. Funny thing, I don't think there are going to be any backgrounds in this, so no harm, no foul. Actually gonna move this dude a little bit closer. Copy, paste. Turn down. For what? Need to show you the weapon. You know what? Screw it. Things have slowed down a bit anyway. I might as well pop this up. I've done a huge portion of the work I need to do anyway. Easy enough. I think it'd be in here. There she is. There we go. Oh, that's one of the ones that does that weird black background for transparency. There we go. Oh, I didn't mean to make it disappear. I'm trying to tab back to... Yep. No drawing in the wrong layer. It happens. But yeah, that weapon is technically a great axe. That's how it's statted. But because the characters are UNT and UNTs are kind of uh, obsessively snake themed, I came up with an awesome cobra head axe. I'm pretty happy with that. Although the sad thing is, I completed this design. I sent it to the DM, and the instant I sent it, I said, "I created Aquaman, didn't I?" I didn't even think of that. I was like, "Brass scale mail, sure, that'll look cool." Because you get scale mail, it's like everyone does steel or iron, and I'm like, let me do brass, see what happens. What other color should I do? What's kind of a snaky color? How about green? That is a badass great axe. Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. This is probably the most detail I've gone into for a D&D character. Uh, but I also posted it to Reddit, and in addition to the Aquaman comments, she got a lot of a few people said she looked like, I'm blanking on his name, but a bad guy from G.I. Joe who wears all snake armor, and I looked him up, and I'm like, yeah, kind of. Actually, the main thing that made me grumpy is he had these awesome snake gloves, and I'm like, oh man, I should have drawn snake gloves. But yeah, I haven't gotten to play this character, but I'm really looking forward to her. Uh, we've been having a little trouble getting everybody to meet up because, D&D. It's the eternal lament. But I'm gonna have her leaning farther back. One of the things I love is that I don't know how effective that weapon would be as a great axe, and I only mildly care because it's a cool looking great axe. That's one of the great things about fantasy. I'm gonna do an arms forward type pose, which is why I'm having her lean back like that. As much as I love Critical Role, they did set the unfair expectation that people can meet once a week to play a session. You know, I don't know that that's really an expectation. I was lucky enough for a while to have a group where we could pretty much do that. We were really good about meeting up. But a part of that was that a number of the people in the group were college students, which meant that they didn't, you know, their schedules, they weren't working a 9 to 5, which made it a lot easier. Kind of a Kamehameha pose here. I'm behind on Critical Role, by the way. I'm trying to catch up, but man, I love that show. It is the best. I actually just finished watching all the way through the backlog on Atop the Fourth Wall, which I talked about on your stream a little while back. The old Channel Awesome comic review show. And it was kind of fun watching through that because that's one of the things that got me into uh, interested in mainstream comics originally, which in part led to me doing all of this. And it has gotten me thinking along superhero lines a little bit again, and it's refreshing. Like it's been a while since I've gotten to kind of scratch that itch with good product. You know what I mean? Like there's so much crap out there. Only a year or so behind. Isn't that like I love that that's how that whole thing works. Like it's so easy to get a year behind on that and like it'll feel like you're watching it for a year to get caught back up. No. Atop the Fourth Wall is very good too. Oh, I didn't think you'd watch that last time. Did you actually start going through it too? Yeah, I like Linkara a lot. I think I'm a little sad that I fell out of watching his stuff for a long time because it's absolutely worth it. He's got interesting insights into a lot of comic writing. I don't always agree with his stuff, but that's one of the things that I kind of like is that it's a very different viewpoint. Let's see. Did I get all the little? I believe I did. Yeah, that should be good. I'm gonna do. Haven't really done a hook nose for a character before, I don't think. I think I recommended Atop the Fourth Wall to you. No, I've started watching Atop the Fourth Wall when it was still on Channel Awesome. Like back when Channel Awesome was like no one had any idea about this stuff. I've been watching him since probably I started watching him in like 2009, 2010, but I stopped watching him for a long time. Um, just because when the whole move off of Blip started happening, I lost track of most of those creators. Um, but yeah, no, I did know about him and had watched a lot of his stuff. I feel like I watched the first 4 or 5 years of his content, uh, based on the fact that I just watched through all of it again, and I was surprised at how much of it I did remember. But yeah, I definitely like watching a lot of his stuff. The only person from Channel Awesome that I kept up with over the years was Todd in the Shadows. I don't know why, but that's just the one that I ended up uh, not dropping. The cell phone up for the photo. There we go. Rotate. There we go. That looks better. Rather than full on copy paste, I'm just going to move that down. I do that right. There we go. Right. Half the fun of this series is uh, messing with my crazy costume design ideas. Because half the fun of cosplay characters is trying to figure out how to actually wear something that makes no real world sense. So it's sometimes fun to look at these and be like, what can I design that will frustrate my cosplay friends and be like, no, like bad cartoonist, no biscuit. go. Nice and lazy. Those legs look awful, actually. I need to fix that. All right, and... Oh, I need to move you down. For the defeated look. There we go. I've gone completely quiet, haven't I? Oh, well, it happens. I'm probably going to stop once the penciling's done, just because it'll be about time for me to feed myself. So just do the finishing touches and we can be good to go. I think I'm going to cut the grandma line when I do this. It'll read a little too much as mean. I'm going to need to make this person bigger. Let's do it. This is the danger of zooming in too much. There we go. There's someone walking past who says it. All right, and with that, I do believe we have a third strip. Oh, one thing I am going to do, and I'm going to do it now so I don't forget. I want to give that person eyes so it doesn't look like it's her friend talking to her. All right, let's see. 1, save. 2, save. A 3, save. What's my time look like? That was about an hour and a half. 3 strips penciled. That is pretty good. So anyway, for anyone who happened to tune in besides Kelsey and Emma, thank you guys, by the way, for keeping the chat going. That was pretty awesome. But for everyone else who happened to stop in and kept silent, or who sees us in replay, thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in this comic, you can find it at www.CosPainComic.com. In fact, here you go. Let me... right there, CosPainComic.com. You can also support me on Patreon at www.patreon.com/bwhcomics. If neither of those are your speed, I am BWH Comics on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And yeah, just check out my stuff.